In this video, we're going to talk about clutch slippage. First, it's important to understand that clutch slippage is extremely damaging to a clutch. And we'll talk about that a little bit. This part is the rotor inside the clutch that constantly turns with the crankshaft. This is the armature. And when we throw power to this clutch, it creates magnetism, and these two surfaces lock together. If a clutch is slipping, these are metal to metal, and it creates a tremendous amount of heat. It could be the source of your failure. If you've had clutch slippage, you'll know that the clutch got very hot, and in some cases it gets so hot that the coil will come apart. So we need to figure out why your clutch is slipping. So there's a few things to check. First and most common is voltage. You're going to want to go to video number 1. Watch that video and go check your system voltage. It's the most common reason that clutches slip. The clutch isn't getting enough current, and when that happens, the magnetism, the field we call it, is not strong enough to pull this down and hold, and subsequently the clutch will slip. So that's number 1. Number 2, and we see this, it's very rare, but a clutch, when it gets shipped, maybe the pulley comes loose in the packaging, and the clutch gets mounted. And you see I'm mounting the pulley with the armature over the top of the brake magnets. The armature always has to be underneath of those brake magnets. If that armature is not under the brake magnets, you'll never get a good joint, and it is very destructive. In that case, contact us, we'll help you, but the clutch is likely destroyed. The third reason, in this one we see quite often, the belt path. If we follow the belt, there's spindles and pulleys and so on and so forth. You're going to want to check those, because if there's a bad spindle bearing or a bad idler pulley bearing, the clutch will not be strong enough to overcome what's happening. So what I like to do is to take the belt in your hands before you install your clutch and just go back and forth and feel what the clutch is going to feel before you install. It's a quick way to check, oh boy, there's a bad bearing up there because it's hard to pull or something. But let's make sure that deck is in good order, and all those pulleys and anything along that belt path is good to go. The next reason is one that's a little tricky to describe. We have a video on it, video 13A. It's called a column violation, we call it. And basically, when we mount a clutch, it has to be compressed. So this is a dry pulley, typical of a clutch installation, that's above the clutch. This surface has to seat very firmly against the inner race of either, this is a clockwise, counterclockwise, it would be the other side of the clutch. And when we tighten the clutch to the 55 foot-pounds, by the way, that's critical, we're setting up about 6,000 pounds of force that we're squeezing this clutch. So that means that the crankshaft, this is the end of a typical crankshaft, cannot touch. There's two mounting types. You have the despacer type and a flat washer, special flat washer type. Cannot touch the end. In other words, when we tighten, we're actually compressing the clutch. When this touches the end, we have nothing. We go from 6,000 pounds of force to 0. When a column is violated, it leaves the rotor loose, and that joint will never be strong, so the clutch will slip. So if there's any question about that, go ahead and watch 13A. It talks in great depth about column violations. The last one's a little tricky to explain, and that's an under-engineered clutch, and that would reside on your OEM side. The original equipment, when they developed that lawnmower, it may not have had enough torque. Now, we're a performance clutch company, so in many cases, we will develop the clutch stronger. We look at the lawnmower, we redevelop, we reformulate what that lawnmower should need. But there are some cases where we can't get a clutch in there that's strong enough to do the job. If you've looked at everything and you don't find anything wrong and you still have slippage, call us. Our technical support is free, and we will look at that application and make sure if that's the case. So those are the things to look for clutch slippage. I hope this helped, and thank you.